if this elephant is a boy or a girl. That's what we're doing right now. But we are. I'm having the best time out here today. I kind of don't want to go back to camp, but I'll be hungry in a minute. I know that for sure. So it's really wonderful. I don't think it's the same little herd of elephants that we had earlier. They sort of were walking a little bit more back towards Vuyatela Dam. Can't smell it, but I can hear some more though, so I don't think it's the only one. But there are an abundance of elephants around. How lucky are we? With all the lovely lush vegetation that's around. So it's not uncommon, and it can make walking a little bit tricky at times. I've just noticed it going for bush runs, bumping into them all the time, which is interesting. It's exciting. Obviously, you can imagine I've been away for such a long time and haven't done a walk. I'm a bit rusty. I was waiting for this question to pop up, and Lorena, you were the first one to ask it. You've said to me, have I seen Daryl yet? I have not. This is typical. I knew it was going to happen, that as I come back to the property, Daryl's probably marched off back towards Earth Lodge at Sabi, because that's where he lives for a majority of the year. So I'm still waiting for him to come back, but maybe he's on the property somewhere. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for him. Obviously on foot it's difficult to cover a lot of ground, but tomorrow morning I'll be brum 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 in a car, and I will be able to, scour the area, and we shall find him. I don't really know his favorite spots here, but I'll be so happy. I was actually showing Faith today some of the old videos I have of him, because I've known him, this will be the year number 3, and I've known Daryl for now. We're just deciding what we're going to do, because fortunately when you are on a bushwalk, you don't always have the sun in your favor, because it goes down, of course, and we're getting to that point now where we need to start aiming for home, especially because the vegetation is so dense here, and if we do run into any encounters, we need to make sure we've got some time to participate in whatever happens, and then move around and carry on. But we are going to be walking in the direction of Scott. Hopefully we don't bump into you, Scott, because I don't know if I'd like to see those lions face to face.
Yeah, I think, like Taylor says, it would be best for her to avoid this area. But happy that she's heading in the general direction. And the only reason why it wouldn't be best for her to come into the area is that it would probably give the lions a fright. What I've noticed with this pride of lions is more often than not, when you do locate them on foot, they run away from you. They very seldomly charge you. Having said that, though, they will, from time to time, give a little bit of a rev. But that's kind of been the general trend with most big cats that I've come across on foot. Far less aggression and far more nervousness and flight as they flee from the scene. They've kind of all moved a little bit closer towards us. All the sub-adults were further down the road initially, but as you can see, most of them are looking quite comfortable and cool at the moment. It has cooled down incredibly the last 10 or 15 minutes, and it's a very pleasant time of the evening to be out. Kristen, you'd like to know when the young sub-adults will start kind of joining in with the hunting and being a little bit more proactive. From anywhere around kind of 2 to 2.5 years of age, some individuals will start becoming useful to the pride with hunting. But yeah, it does depend on the individuals. Some, especially the younger boys, can be a little bit lazy as a general rule, and they may start hunting a little bit more when there's bigger prey around, or when they get kicked out of the pride themselves. So yeah, anywhere from, I'd say, 2 to 2.5 years of age, they can start helping out, but it'll take them many more years to hone their skills. And it's also not to say that they can't catch prey when they are younger than that. I mean, we have no idea exactly how the unfortunate warthog got tangled in the claws of one of these lions earlier, but it could well have been one of the youngsters that was just sleeping in the right place and had the warthog run straight into it. We sadly, like I said, haven't spent enough time with this pride of lion to have too much insight into what these youngsters have been getting up to the last few months. They're very often off our property, which makes us following them impossible. So, yeah, sadly, not many stories amongst our crew, and especially not from myself, of this specific pride, but I'm fairly certain, having 6 of these sub-adults around, they must have already put 1 or 2 meals on the table for the rest of the pride, even if it has been complete luck. Very good. Well, we're going to stay put. I'm hoping this cool weather is going to provide these lions with a good reason to get up and move before the darkness sets in. And while we sit and wait here patiently, we'll send you back to Steve, who's got some elephants.
We do, Scott. We've got a roadblock of our own. You've got a lion roadblock and we've got an elephant roadblock. What can you do? They just appear in front of you in the road, and this one is being very aware of us. It's a young bull. You can see how he's watching. You see the left eye there. He's watching us closely, but pretending he doesn't really care. Look at that mouthful he's putting in there. He's absolutely scoffing the grass down. I've noticed they're focusing a lot on the actual inflorescence, so the seeds of the grass. And then sometimes he grabs the entire plant itself. So it's quite wonderful to see the feeding strategy. We had a female off to the right, which isn't clear at the moment, but she was ripping grass off of the termite mound. Was being very particular about that as well, because we know that the termites recycle the nutrients, and on the termite mound itself, the grass growing there will taste better, or will have more nutrients than ones growing elsewhere. So that's a learned behavior. Definitely something she's aware of. But I love spending time with these elephants. It's so different being here now, where you actually have to drive and you just bump them. When up in the north, you can pretty much see them from as far away as you need to. So I like the surprise and the anticipation that we can get here. So there's a small breeding herd. I can count about 8 individuals scattered through the vegetation. See how many youngsters? There's a female there on the right of the screen with that very angular head. The female on the right of us here making some noises, but no one paying too much attention. She's probably saying things like, "What wonderful weather we're having. Isn't this a marvelous place to feed?" I do enjoy spending time with these animals. They're always busy, always doing something. I've had quite a good day with them, I believe. Taylor's had some nice sightings up north. And obviously down by Chitwa. We're still on Chitwa itself. We're slowly making our way back. Probably going to go towards Buffelshoek Dam in a moment, see if we can find any action on the western side or eastern side of Djuma. We'll leave these ellies to their respite, see if they just enjoy themselves a bit further, and hopefully we'll get through this roadblock shortly. It looks like it's cleared up a little bit. Give it a go. Look at the beautiful tusks. It's probably about a 15, 16-year-old animal, that maybe 17. Not very old. Beautiful. Walter, I think that's more of a comment, Walter. He asks a question: do elephants swim underwater and use their trunks as a snorkel? 100%. 100%. I've seen elephants swimming. There's some marvelous documentaries out there that actually have elephants filming them from the bottom, and they swim. They physically float in the water, and there's some science behind it that reckons that the elephant evolved obviously from a much more of an aquatic animal. And, here we go, some action. This female on the left has just shown him where to go. And so they reckon the lungs and the position of the body and the sort of the, what's the word, the buoyancy of the body enables them to swim. And it's obviously remnants of a time when they would have been a much more an aquatic animal. And yes, they seem to be very at home in the water, and they just have to lift their trunk above the water to breathe. They don't seem to panic like we do. If you throw a human in the water, they haven't learned how to swim, they will have a really big problem. But most animals, you throw them in the water, they somehow know how to get out the other side. So it's a small breeding herd. That female with her little baby, look at that one. Oh. take cares asking a question. Is there a grass type that elephants won't eat? There's a number of grass species out here that are palatable and a number that aren't that palatable. It doesn't mean they won't eat it. It just means that they will select the best ones first. Elephants, even though they're a really big animal and feed a lot of bulk, are very selective in the way that they feed. Because they can push trees over, because they can select grasses from underneath bushes, they actually are very selective. And they can smell what they're looking for. Things like turpentine grass, things like thatching grass, there's lots of cellulose, lots of fiber, and the turpentine grass has lots of chemicals. They'll avoid that because it's just not digestible. So by putting it in, there's no benefit to the animal. So they'd probably ignore those sort of grasses, but they definitely love the sweet grasses. There's finger grass out here, there's buffalo grass. Don't see too much red grass, but saw them feeding on a lot of the sort of the climax species. The decreases, the ones with lots and lots of nutrients and lots of foliage. So that's what they're looking for. They're looking for flavor. They're looking for, obviously, flavor. I don't know if they're looking for the flavor. I think that came up about a month ago. Animals have got a certain number of flavor receptors in the mouth, but they definitely can smell, and they're looking for the nutrients. And if there's fiber and chemicals, they try and avoid it. But as the dry season comes on, we still have the roadblock up ahead. As the dry season comes on, we're going to go a little bit further forward. They can't be too picky, so they then feed on whatever they can. Okay, so we're going to stay here because I don't think we have a choice with our big things, and we're going to go over to Taylor, who I believe is looking at something very small.
I kind of like those traffic jams, though. Well, Kirsten said to me, she said, right, Taylor, we're going to come to you next. And we were walking, and I went, oh, no, what are we going to do? And I thought, hey, there's those things called Weltherias. That's the plant. They normally have all sorts of goodies crawling around on them. And, well, look what we found. A caterpillar, a little caterpillar. Look how small it is in comparison to my pinky finger. It's very small. Now, I can't remember what species were on the Weltherias, but I have a note on it. Was it not some of the acria butterflies? Maybe? But it's trying to get away from us, and I was trying to escape David. Or perhaps it's just looking for something else to nibble on. I can't really see what it's doing. What's it doing, David? Just relaxing for the moment. All right, so that's quite nice. Always good to see. And I think I've had these types of caterpillars on my face once, too. Remember, Jean-Andre decided he would decorate me with caterpillars. I don't know why I want to do something like that. And then David, I've seen something else here. Come on, my hand. Crawl on me, bug or beetle. Wait. Look at that. That's beautiful. Ah, just flew. Just flew away from me. Looked like a melanistic ladybug. It wasn't. I don't know what it was. I have no idea what beetle it was. One of a few thousand that they are. I think that question, was it from Crystal? Or did I make that up? Scarlet. Was it Scarlet? Scarlet, sorry. I don't know, I'm so sorry. It's getting late now, I'm exhausted. I haven't had to do this much work in a few weeks. Right, you were wondering if the insect life increases during the summer months. I think that's what it was. The answer to that is yes. I suppose it depends what area you're in. We get a summer rainfall here, so obviously all the grass, all the leaves, the flowers come back, and the animals, not just the elephants that we've been seeing the whole day, but from the warthogs right through to the butterflies and the beetles and all the other creepy crawlies. Obviously the weather is nice and warm, so it's ideal for breeding conditions. There's lots of water around, lots of food. So it's the best to reproduce, and then of course it's the best for the youngsters to have a chance of survival too. So they don't stay in eggs for very long either with all the little insects. They hatch, they molt, they do whatever they need to do to turn into adults. And a lot of the species, for instance, with all butterflies we've seen, they really just the youngsters, the caterpillars that are feeding. And then when they get to adulthood, they do feed on, of course, all the flowers, all the nectar, but that's high in sugar, so it's really just energy. And then they die after they've reproduced and laid their eggs, which is quite crazy. I've lost Rexon. He's down the pathway down here somewhere, and I'm joking, he's not far away at all. He's just around the bend. But I know we do have to keep on the move. What else we got? I don't even want to look at the dung and things like that, because I know that I have absolutely no idea what animal did what. All the grasses. I need to do a lot of reading up again. It's weird when you're not talking about something for such a long time, that it just goes put into filing cabinets right to the back of your brain, and then I feel like someone has locked them and thrown away the key. So it'll be interesting over the next few days once I start getting back into things, seeing all the exciting things. But who knows what will be down the next animal pathway, because I'm sure we're going to find something, maybe an elephant silhouetted on quarantine to get an open area up top. So that's where we'll be heading next, or perhaps I'll eat my first marula. Have not had a marula since I've been back, but off you go. Scott's got cats, and it seems as though they're now resting their eyes.
Well, I think it's definitely a good idea that Taylor eats her first marula of the season, and ideally whilst watching a silhouetted elephant bull. Wouldn't that be nice? Not too much has changed here. The lions are still enjoying the cool relief of the evening, and some of them are actually watching a family of dwarf mongoose cross the road further down in that direction. You can see there's one there with a very... Oh, there go the dwarf mongoose. And let's hope these lions don't give them a hard time, because I have seen a few smaller dwarf mongoose. There goes another small one, kind of half grown, and I would hate to see one of them come unstuck with a lion. I don't think the dwarf mongoose have any clue that these lions are watching them. They're just crossing that open ground as quickly as possible. But it seems like the lions are not interested in the temptation of trying to bully some smaller carnivores. Rowan, you would like to know if lions see humans the same way that they would see a baboon on foot, and no, they definitely don't. Mainly because humans don't walk around on all fours, unless you ask Taylor nicely. She may do that for you, but she ordinarily walks on her two back legs, and the baboons don't do that, and we're very different looking beasts to baboons, so I've never heard of a lion being confused between us and one of our cousins. I mean, it'd be interesting to know how far you could push it if you were to kind of wear a bit of like a baboon suit, or let's think of something that the lions probably wouldn't mess with too much, like a rhino. If you climbed into a big kind of rhino box and moved around, how the predators would perceive you. It's not something that I've ever done, so I've got very little knowledge on the matter. Well, I've just got a message back from Taylor that she will walk on all fours, but then I'll have to deal with hell for the next few weeks. So rather don't ask her to do that. I haven't seen Taylor for many months since I was with her up in the Mara, and I think it would be better if we got off to a good start rather than me suggesting that she walks around on all fours. And I must also be careful and remember that being nasty to Taylor can get you into trouble. Tristan learnt that. He was nasty to her, and then he fell out the vehicle just moments later. So best we keep things above board for now. And yeah, looking forward to the next few weeks, because there are a few changes with the crew members and in terms of where they work, where everyone's working. So it'll be great to connect with some of the crew that we've been away from for so long. It's something I guess you guys may not take for granted, but not really, just may not realize, is that we may be cutting, between here and the Mara as we were up until recently, but not actually seeing anyone from that crew for months on end is quite interesting. You would get to see them more than we do, obviously just on the live drives, because we are of course not watching the drives when we're on them. But I'm sure Taylor's loving being back in the Sabi Sand, such a different ecosystem to where she's come from. And I'm definitely happy to be back here after expecting to be somewhere else. It's a very, very cool spot, and I'm hoping to spend some more time with not only lions, but more the leopards that I'm hoping to try and get some more moments with. So that's going to be my goal for the next month. Gosh, well, it seems like even though I've tried to urge Taylor not to walk on all fours, she feels she is obliged to now. So, good luck. I wish I was coming along for a peek. Off you go.
Scotty. Right, just so that I can get you back in the next coming weeks. I don't really know how to walk on all four. You could do this. You could do that. You could do the shuffle. What else? You don't want, listen, you don't want to be doing this without knee pads. That's quite sore. I think this is more comfortable. But what walks like this? Nothing. Probably going to stick to this. Now I'm all dirty. There we go. Scott, your punishment is on its way. Half tucked in, half untucked shirt. This is how you should not dress for safari. It doesn't look very nice, but we'll just rock it for now. I'll just have to walk like this. Do you like my belt from Kenya? I think it's quite nice, eh? But not really bush-like, but we'll just go with it anyways. Work in the front, party at the back with the way that my shirt is now. I do apologize, everybody. I'm very untidy, but I'm filthy. So I want to try and wash my hands somewhere. Oh, where's the good old devil's thorn? That'll help disinfect my hands. Remember all those fun things we used to do? Man, I've missed the Sabi sand so much. There's really nothing quite like home. And home is here, in the Lowveld. I don't know where we are. I think Wahlberg's Road, and I've also got to remember the names of the roads too. Wahlberg's Road, and I think that's Twin Dams over there. I'm sure it's Twin Dams. Let's see if any tortoises have walked across the road. No. Birds, many birds, and some elephants going down there as well. Probably the ones going back and forth. What else have we got? My eyes are working really hard to try and spot something else for you. There's some more Weltherias. Anyone else home? Probably not. I think I got lucky with that Weltheria. No. Sadly, nothing here. Ha 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 ha. I'm glad that I make you all laugh and smile. My job is done. My job is done for the day. What do we got here? Ooh, David, come and have a look. I don't know if you can be able to get this because it's flying. Oh, it's gone now. It was weird. I think I've just put dirt all over my face now. There's like do you see them? They're like little bumblebees or something. You might be able to see them flying. David's trying his absolute best, but I did put him in the spot there. David, get that flying thing. That's so cool. That's amazing. I don't know what that is. In fact, I'm going to try and creep over David's shoulder and look into the camera. Maybe we can take some screenshots to actually have a look at what that is. It's really small too. It's not very big. Does it have a long proboscis? Relatively long one. What about a bee fly? Maybe something like that? Very cool though. Wow. Luckily I've got a very good insect book, so if you do take some screenshots, share them with us. Hashtag Safari Live. We can always have a little look, or perhaps James or Steph or Scott or anyone that's been on bushwalk recently has perhaps seen one. Oh, good old guarri trees. I've missed you so much. It's nice to see you. I don't know why I tried to give that guarri tree a handshake. I think it's ready to go home. Time to go home now. David, listen, David's stomach has been grumbling the entire day. You have absolutely no idea how it keeps rumbling. I don't think you can hear it. I wish we had an ambient mic. Because I think he's hungry, and I think he smelt Happiness's cooking. In fact, I didn't even hear who I'm supposed to send you across to. It's one of the men that names start with an S, and the little bird in my ear has not whispered but shouted, "You're going to go across to Stephen."
Folks, you are with us, and we're not quite sure if we're going to find anything, but we had kudu alarm calling very, very close by. We rode around the block. We didn't find any leopard, we didn't find any tracks, and then we came back again. We found the kudu, and then we found the tracks on top of our tracks going off-road into the block. So we're just taking a chance here. The tracks are very fresh. They were on top of us. Oopsie, and I stalled. That's not ideal. He's not liking it. It's not liking it. There we go. Okay, so sorry folks for the bumpiness. Hold on. We're just going to go a little bit further off here and see. It is very, very thick. Very, very thick, but we might be lucky. The tracks were large, about 9 centimeters. There's elephant again. Basically back towards where those elephant were. We came around the block. But while we continue on our little mission here, we're going to go back over to Scott, who has got predators, see how we go.
Well, good luck, Steve. I hope you get lucky and find what those kudu are shouting at. Still calm and peaceful here. And I wonder what time they're going to get up this evening and what their kind of usual trends are. I think it's safe for us to say that we know that they typically sleep when we're out on drive, as a general rule, which means sometime after dark they're moving around, but when exactly and how much, well, of course, it will vary from night to night. But it would be nice to try and get to know their nocturnal habits a little bit better. It'd certainly be more entertaining them than watching them sleep. First Lady, you would like to know if lions ever sneeze. And yes, they certainly do. If they get kind of grass seeds up their nose, even if a fly goes up their nose, they'll sometimes sneeze. So yes, it's something we do see them do quite commonly, especially at this time of the year now that there's lots of long grass, especially with lots of grass seeds on it. So as they move through the grass, their nostrils can get irritated and bothered by all those little seeds. And I'm fairly confident, even, if we just spend the rest of the evening with them, which we will, I'm confident that one of them will sneeze. They do sneeze quite a lot, actually, come to think of it. But for now, sleeping seems to be their main priority. So all we can do is sit and wait patiently for them to hopefully wake up. There's a chance, though, that come 7 o'clock, when the safari comes to an end, they will still be here sleeping. But that is, I guess, just one of the things about being on safari. You do have to be patient, and to get the moments of brilliance that are captured from time to time, you invest many, many hours with often quite sleepy and sedate scenes. Anik, you'd like to know if one of the lioness within this pride is the matriarch and the kind of main leader. Yes, ordinarily there will be a lioness that is the kind of main decision maker. There's one lioness that's definitely the oldest out of all of the adults. She's blind in one eye. Well, she definitely appears to be the oldest. But I'm not certain who is the most dominant out of the lioness in this pride. I must reiterate, in the 3 months that I've been back in this area, I've spent 2 months actually working here in the last 3 months, and we've spent very, very little time with these lions. And most of the time that we have spent with them, they've been sleeping. So you can't tell who's the boss when they're in a state like this, can you? So sadly, I don't have a huge bunch of insights into this pride and what they get up to and who's the boss. But I'm told that the last few weeks they've been spending more time on Djuma, so that's great news. And hopefully, once I've spent a little bit more time here catching up with the other guides, they might be able to provide me with some info that they've gathered along the way. Very good. Well, we are going to stay where we are and send you back to Taylor, who is heading back to camp.
We are slowly on our way back to camp, but I just thought I'd stop at one of the prickliest bushes out here in the Lowveld. And, of course, most of you would have said, buffalo thorn! You're quite right. It is a buffalo thorn. I have been jabbed by knob thorns today, not prickled by a buffalo thorn as of yet. But that's something that's quite different between here and the Mara. Yes, there are a couple of trees in the Mara that have the odd thorn on them, but nothing quite like out here in South Africa. And I can see it's starting to get some fruit on it as well. You can see a couple of little berries, but they still need to go a nice deep dark purple before we can eat them. Not that they taste very nice when they're ripe anyway. Well, not in my opinion. I don't particularly enjoy them. And I've also caused a stampede of African pygmy impala. The Inyala haven't run away though at all. They're not African pygmy impala. It's just that after seeing impala in the Mara, there's a huge difference in size. Here, they are much smaller, which is quite cool. But we're going to keep heading in this way. Maybe we can get a view of them. So we're back. Verreaux Dam is just down over here in case you're wanting the tour. I'm not holding my binoculars. Let me hold them properly. Down over there, it's nice to see a little bit of water. The last time I was here, it was absolutely bone dry. And Janet, you've asked what did I miss the most about Djuma? I think it's hands down has to be the elephants. There's many things that of course I miss about here. Bushwalks, huge thing. But I'd go safari parkouring in the Mara, so at least I got my fix. But we didn't really encounter anything. We saw the odd leopard track here and there. We saw evidence of elephants, but we didn't really have many animal encounters on foot. Well, the zebra in camp, I suppose, counts. But out here, it's just, I don't know, you just feel so alive. I don't know really how to describe it. And everything is quite surreal. My senses are working, my eyesight picking up my hearing every branch or piece of grass that rustles in the wind. So that's quite nice to sort of focus on things like that again. I haven't really been doing that in Mara, so you're driving around, the cars make quite a bit of noise, so you don't use your hearing as much. The moon looks quite cool, says David, so the moon it is. Something that I'm looking forward to hearing is the soaring sound of a leopard. That is something I have not heard. And I think tonight on a full moon, it's not full moon, almost full moon, I don't know when the full moon is supposed to be, you'll have to tell me. It's pretty incredible. And maybe I'll get lucky. Who knows? Maybe an old boy Tingana will pass on through and do one of his classic last-minute leopard soars right outside camp. Scott has also got a view of the moon, so let's go and see what it looks like from his side.
Well, we certainly do have the moon. I'm not too sure if it's full yet or not. I think it could be full tomorrow, just judging by how high it is up in the sky so soon after sunset. But maybe I'm wrong. It does look perfectly full to me. It's just the fact that, like I said, it's quite high up for this stage of the evening. Although the sun, when did the sun set? I'm not even sure when the sunset is at the moment. So it is possible that it's a full moon. It's definitely a beautiful evening and not good prospects for the Nkuhuma Pride of Lion, who we are sitting with here, because all of their prey are going to have an easy time spotting these guys snooping about, trying to sneak up on them. It's incredible how bright the full moon is when you're out in the wilderness with no pollution or no ambient light like you would have in a city. You can drive around with absolutely no headlights on and see quite comfortably. So if our fairly measly eyes can perform fairly decently with the full moon, you can imagine how much better the prey species can spot the predators. And who knows, maybe that's why these lions have been quite hungry, or look quite hungry today. It's not just tonight when the moon is full that they'll have trouble hunting, but all the kind of, even the last week or so leading up to full moon and the week after full moon, the moon will still be up and bright for a long period of the night. So maybe that's why they're all looking a little bit hungry. I'm very interested to see what this pride is going to develop into in the coming months, because a lot of these subadults are kind of getting quite big, and it is going to be a force to be reckoned with when they're all contributing towards the hunting, and 5 of them are also lioness, so it's definitely going to bolster the prize numbers greatly. Thank you very much, Andrew, for confirming that the full moon is in fact tomorrow, so we've got that to look forward to. How it should work, and if any of you are wondering why I was kind of correlating the height of the moon now compared to when the sun would have set, on an evening when the moon is full, as the sun sets in the west, the moon will rise. It'll be directly opposite it, which means it's almost sunset, moon rise immediately. Whereas this evening, it seemed like the timing was a little bit off, so that's why I was a little bit confused as to what was going on, or not 100% sure whether it was a full moon or not. Wonderful. Okay, well, still some time. I'm hoping the lions are going to do something before the end of the safari, but it looks like they're still quite sleepy. Anyway, we're going to stay put and send you back across to Steve for an update on how his search for the alarming kudu went.
Thanks, Scotty. And yes, the moon is rising behind us. I'm glad Scott got to show you that. We were so close, folks. I don't know how far behind, but it must have been minutes. But the same grass that the elephants are absolutely lapping up made whatever leopard it is we were following just disappear. It was very thick. The grass was very, very tall. And so we were unsuccessful. But it was still exciting nonetheless. We had some really good opportunity there. Unfortunately, before, that elephant roadblock slowed us up a little bit. We could hear the alarm calls as we were trying to get through. And by the time we got there, it was just too late. But that is the way the cookie crumbles in the African bush. Oh, my word, we've got an amazing owl, Sens. It's a giant eagle owl. Can you see him? Look at that. Verreaux or giant eagle owl. That is incredible. I'll take that over a leopard this afternoon. Unfortunately, it is not the brightest. The sun has set, the moon is rising, and the owls are coming out to play. Not very easily seen, but beautiful moon-shaped face. And the pink eyelids give away this, and also the size. If you're familiar with the size, there we go. That's a bit better. That's better. Look at that. The giant or Verreaux eagle owl. Very territorial. It's the largest owl you'll find in this area. Look at those eyelids. For what purpose it has pink eyelids, I have no idea. Wonder if anyone else out there knows, but maybe look pretty. Huh? They're a nocturnal animal, so colour's not a big thing in their spectrum. Look at that. Isn't he or she beautiful? See the beautiful rounded moon face? There we go. That attracts the sound, and the sound like a satellite comes onto the face. And the ear tufts which you see are actually not the ears themselves. The ears are positioned at different hemispheres on the side of the head. And the speed at which the sound comes off of that moon face and rushes over each ear, the owl's able to, in almost complete darkness, triangulate the movement of a very small animal moving on the ground. Isn't that marvelous? So, Scotty, I'll take that over your lions this afternoon. What do you think, Sen? Is that magical? Okay, well, we're going to leave the owl. The light is slowly fading. We're continuing on our search for anything nocturnal. And we're going to go to Taylor, who's on foot with the last fading rays of the sun.
We do indeed. You know how I joked earlier and I said, oh, maybe we'll see an elephant silhouetted up on quarantine. Well, everything is going my way today. What a welcome back to the Sabi Sand. So there we go, one of the most sought after shots by photographers. Actually, any animal is quite nice to have silhouetted, and this is honestly one of the few spots you can actually get a silhouette shot. In Djuma, unfortunately, it's quite flat, not sort of undulating. Well, undulates slightly, but in the Mara there were often opportunities to have silhouetted animals, so I know how special it is to have one of these. And of course, he's left you all with a present. You may have got silhouetted dung as well, which would have been a first for me. Perhaps you could get quite creative there with your shot. Let's see your screenshots. Does that look spectacular, David? Was it just amazing? All sorts of wonderful things. Right. Anyways, I think it's time for a shower because I can smell myself. I think I can smell David, and he's hungry. I'm going to send you back to Scott, but I'll see you in the morning.
Well, I'm very happy that Taylor got lucky with the elephant silhouette that she was hoping for a little bit earlier. Sounded like a magical scene. And it seems like David, her, and Rexon now deserve a bath and a snack. No changes here. We are just sitting and enjoying the evening, of which it is a beautiful one. So good to be back in the Lowveld after a few weeks away in various parts of our wonderful country, mainly cities though, so loving the sound of the birds and no noise of traffic or cars or hooting, and just the general peacefulness of being out here again. And also looking forward to catching up with all the crew. Literally dumped my bags and jumped straight into the vehicle, so I haven't said hello to a lot of the crew members, so looking forward to an enjoyable meal, catching up with everyone tonight. Certainly going to be a lot more entertaining than watching these sleeping lions, so that's what I'm looking forward to. So I was chatting with Abel, one of the guides who drives around here on Djuma, and just trying to get some updates as to what's been happening for the last couple of weeks, because I'm very out of the loop. And it seems like our friend Tundi, the leopardess, is spending a lot of time to the south of our southern boundary, so I'm not too sure when last she was seen. He seemed to think the cub was still alive, so that's good news. Obviously a lot of threats for young leopard cubs, especially the Hukumuri male, who I'm also hoping to hear some updates on, what he's been up to and where he's been seen. And if he's had any more interactions with the other older, well, not more dominant, but other established males of this area, namely Tingana. Yeah, time will tell in the next few days, getting back into the swing of things, feeling a little bit lost at the moment in terms of what's happening. So lots to look forward to. Very good. Well, we are going to stay put and send you across to Steve, who's slowly making his way home.
Yes, Scotty, I know the feeling. I'm also a little bit lost with regards to what's going on with the leopards in the area. It's going to take a few days to catch up on all the dynamics. Quite sad Tristan left this morning because he always seems to know everything of who's doing what and where. So, but don't worry, Scotty, we'll get up to speed on the leopard movements very soon. And I've no doubt the viewers out there have been keeping very close tabs and will be able to tell us everything that we have missed. It's been a month since I've been here, over a month. It's quite strange how fast the time can fly. We're just going to cut up on our our eastern boundary. I think this is it here. Yeah. And who knows what we might see. Had Taylor and Scott on the western side, so nothing to stop us from seeing something randomly here. Can you say that again for me, Kirst? Sorry, Guide Monkey asked an interesting question, but I didn't get the beginning of that, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, with the burst of greenery and grass, what animals will we see more often? Well, actually, because of the burst, you won't see the animals as much because there's much more foliage and leaves that are covering them. But the animals aren't able to migrate in this area, the mammals, should I say. So they are all over the place. Because there's water and there's food everywhere, there's no need for them to stick in one specific spot. They can move. But the birds, the migratory birds, they'll be displaying more again. The cuckoos will be calling. They'll probably try and breed again. Any of the widers, I saw a male wider busy displaying earlier. So it's this whole like, okay, the food is back again, and the animals basically just go and do their thing again. So a lot of birds will probably have another clutch now. Definitely the francolins and spurfowl will have another clutch. But it's harder to see. I mean, we drove in there and we nearly drove into some elephant. It's thick, it's dense. This is a very nice time of year because it's green, but it's a very hard time of year to find animals because you just can't see them. So I hope that answers your question. I know that when the vegetation starts to get dry and more sparse, it's much easier to find animals purely because you can see further into the bush than you can now, and because they're more localized around water. I know Scott tried to find some water today to see if he could find any animals. We did the same. We got an ellie close by, or a few ellies, but there's nothing like, all these animals are so afraid of going to water, they need to drink, but the treacherous journey to a waterhole is, as I say, very treacherous. So if there's a puddle somewhere, an impala would gladly drink from that puddle and stay as far away from the major water sources as possible. So, yeah, what I love about the bush is the seasonality, lots of flowers. So we're going to see another bloom of insects. I noticed that I've just moved into a place in Hoedspruit with a friend of mine, and the insects were rampant, absolutely rampant. And getting here today, this is always an interesting time when you put the spotlight on and the lights are on, because the insects like to fly straight towards my open mouth, and it encourages me to look back even more and more, because I got a few in my mouth in the Mara, and most of them don't taste very good. But lots of pollinators out again, the flowers are out, there'll be some more fruits, so it is a really good time of year. I do like this time of year, but it's nice when it changes as well, back to the dryness. And once the dryness comes back again, the dust with it, then we are happy for the rain again. So I really enjoy how the seasons keep us interested. And I'm going to continue with Senzo here, spotting and seeing what we might see with our spotlight. And while we do so, I believe Scotty D is doing something quite similar.
Yes, we decided to ditch the sleepy lions and see what else we could try and find in the last few minutes of the safari. So I'm hoping for a chameleon. A leopard would also be nice, but it is easy to spot the chameleons once darkness has set in. So that is our plan. Maybe a snake up in a tree. They're also easier to spot after dark. It's incredible how lush the vegetation's got in the 2 weeks that we've been away. Very surprised by that. So let me just give somebody a quick update. I left them unattended. They're on Gallico shortcut just north of the link to the waterhole. I was just giving somebody an update on the lions. They're obviously wanting to make their way there. So, yeah, very happy that there's been a decent amount of rain over the last few weeks, because it was looking fairly bleak when I headed out at the beginning of the month. Well, sorry, midway through the month. It's the beginning of the month now. So, yeah, nice change. I'm sure there've been, already I can feel quite a few bugs hitting me in the face, so I'm guessing with the rains have come more bugs. I'm not sure if there have been any more or any decent snake sightings, because that's also something that can be coupled with good rains. Although sadly snakes aren't something we don't see as often as we would like to. First Lady, you'd like to know if there's any beehives here on Djuma, and I'm almost certain there must be some somewhere. I just don't know where any are. I've seen a few old ones in trees, or where old ones were, but I don't remember ever seeing an active one here. And I know Steph and I think maybe one or two other presenters have followed honey guides back to beehives. Where on the property, I'm not too sure. So yeah, they're around. They certainly are around. But where exactly, not too sure. Now the tricky thing that the rain has created since in the last 2 weeks is that it's a lot more difficult to spot animals, because there's a proper blankets of grass now on the floor, and it's also a lot more difficult to off-road, knowing that you're not going to slam into a stump. So a few little difficult aspects that the rain has brought with it, but it's definitely worth the little small difficulties it's going to cause us, because we were really hoping for some decent rain. So good that it fell, because it would have been a very long and hard winter had there not been this rain. We still need more though. Anyway, enough about the rain, and why don't you head back over to Steve to see if he has any more luck than we do with the spotlights.
Thanks, Scott. We were just doing a little bit of a U-turn there. We're going to go back on the, I don't even know what road this is coming up. Sense, what's this road? But yes, the bugs are pelting us. It's a great time of year. I actually have a pair of safety glasses that I normally have for this time of year, which I've conveniently left with all my other belongings in Hoedspruit. And they're just clear safety goggles that most people use if they use power tools or anything like that. And they work very, very well for a very cheap and affordable amount of money, and protect my eyes. Guide Monkey, he wants to know if bugs taste different in the Mara as they do here. Well, I haven't got one in my mouth yet. I'm doing very well. That was a little steenbok there. We're not going to look at them at night. The one I got in the Mara didn't taste very good at all, but you know, there are so many insects out there here as well. This time of year, it's very hard for me to place which one would go in my mouth, and they've all got different flavors. Some of them have got really noxic sort of chemicals they give off, stink bugs and all sorts of weird and interesting things. You get them in the mouth and it's just revolting. It's really not very pleasant. But most often than not, you just get a hard sort of carapaced insect in your mouth, a beetle or something, and you just spit it out if you haven't chewed it already. Hopefully you don't chew it. A little bit extra protein. Matt wants to know what drink is best. Well, I have water on board, Matt, so that is the best thing for washing down insects. I think I've had a fly before, but you catch it in the back of the throat while you're mid-sentence. Sense, I'm going right, eh? Left, eh? Thanks, bud. Sorry, folks, I was away for 3 weeks. I was just starting to get really accustomed to the area and the roads, and then they sent me up to the Mara, and now I'm not lost, but it is at night, and we are on the eastern side with a few roads I haven't spent too much time on. So best, and especially when I'm multitasking and talking and chewing bugs at the same time, it's best for Senza to just, if he wants to get home on time, that is, it's best for him to assist in the navigation. So I apologize for not knowing exactly where I am, but we are still trying to find you a Djuma leopard. I would love to, on my first day back, get a leopard. Anyone, doesn't matter, really doesn't matter. There are so many that I still haven't seen, Lots of stories of the Hukumuru male. Kristen, I am a vegetarian, and are bugs considered meat? Well, they are definitely a protein base, and I think they're quite a good alternative to meat, but I'm not deliberately eating them. They are coming in my mouth purely because I am talking. But we're going to continue on, and Scott's got one of those elusive nocturnal animals, so let's go to Scott.
Okay, everyone, we've got good news, and that is that we found a pair of bush babies. They are incredibly agile and sadly moving around quite a bit. So where we've stopped now and where the bush baby stopped, Seb doesn't have a view of it. Let me try and move forward a bit. Oh, no, it's just topped up higher into the tree. But let's keep trying. They're incredibly cute nocturnal primates. Oh, there's one still in this bush. The other one has jumped off. It's in a completely different tree now. It's a bit far away. But there is another one up in here. But it's hiding from us, it appears. Let's try, see if we can reposition one more time. Sneaky little critter. Okay. I can just see its tail there. I think you should have an angle, Seb. Yeah, there we go. We can just make it out there. Well done, Seb. Let me try and make a high-pitched noise and see if it doesn't look at us. Hello, you cutie. Well, we can see at least one of its eyes there. And it's just taking it easy. It's relaxed now. Kind of huddled up in a ball. And they are absolutely tiny. I'd say they're the size of kind of 3 tennis balls, if that. Maybe 2 tennis balls plugged on top of one another. And they have got the most insane skills when it comes to springing from branch to branch. I wish I could move like one of them. Doing! They have got the most incredibly powerful legs that spring them 6-7 feet from a standstill. And they're just starting their evening out looking for some snacks. And there was another one here. This one's just kind of relaxing now, / hiding from us, but its partner's hopped off. Good stuff. Well, we'll leave it in peace. Oh, well, wonderful that Paula's just seen her first bush baby, and it just jumped down and started moving again. I'm hoping we can maybe get you a better view of it now that it's moved. Oof, no, it's just so thick in there, and I don't want to bother it too much. But Paula, glad that you got a glimpse of the bush baby. They are very, very cute creatures. Ah, crazy legs. Now you're suggesting that I'm some form of a bush baby whisperer. I think not. But just luck is on my side. If I was a whisperer, I would have had them doing the can-can on the hood of the vehicle for all of you to see. But it's something that I'm working on, my bush baby whispering skills. Okay, now a chameleon. And then a leopard. And then we would have done very well this afternoon. But not much time. I'm told 3.5 minutes. Ooh. Maybe between Steve and myself we can get a leopard and a chameleon. I think that's a more likely outcome. Alrighty. Richard, you would like to know, what do bush babies eat? Well, it's a combination of insects as well as gum. They eat a lot of gum that they tap from various trees. So they'll chew into the bark of a tree and then it'll start oozing out the sap, and then they'll come possibly the next evening. I'm not sure how long they wait for it to ooze out, and then consume that gum. So a lot of them are gum eaters, but will eat insects and flowers and fruits at different times of the year, depending on what's available to them. And you get a whole bunch of different types of bush babies. These are lesser bush babies, they're very small. You also get greater bush babies, which are far larger, and I'm sure their diets all vary, you know, depending on the individual bush baby you are looking at. Okay, well, 2 minutes to find a leopard and a chameleon. Hopefully Steve will be able to come up with one, if not both of them, and you're heading straight across to him now.
Sens. Thanks very much, Scott. I'm focusing way too much now on finding a leopard or a chameleon that I nearly injured my cameraman. Sens, are you okay there? I'm sorry. These Land Rovers can get quite bumpy, and I came down a little. I'm in nodes, but just from a little bit of damage, and I'm focusing too much on where the spotlight is for this elusive leopard and chameleon, because, you know, Scott has put the challenge down, and you probably all know that us at Safari Live never shy out to a challenge. So I'm trying my best. So sorry, Sens, about that. But you never know what can be around the corner, folks. You never know. It's always wonderful. It's wonderful to be back in Djuma. I realized where I was a few moments ago, and I suddenly understood the roads again, and it all came back to me, and then the confidence comes back, and wonderful to be back down here with the friends that I've made in the last month, and to catch up with people that I've also recently met. Really, really nice to be back in Djuma. The smell, wonderful. I really enjoy the night sky, the full moon rising in the background. It has been an awesome afternoon from the Safari Live team. Sens and I have done our best with our ellies and some hippos and a couple nice birds, but there hasn't been too much from our side to talk about. Lions and elephants, all sorts of interesting birds. It has been wonderful. Thank you for joining us at Safari Live. My name is Steve Folgenbridge. Thanks to everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow morning nice and early for our normal show. Have a fantastic evening, and thank you very much.